time is 6:30, so I'll call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, May 23rd, 2022 to order. First, we'll go through the regular business meeting agenda. We have the invocation tonight by Dr. Quincy Brown. The pledge, do we have anybody that wants to do the pledge?
I'll do it, if nobody's doing it.
We've got the minutes. We have 3 items under the public hearing. The first is allowing citizens to provide input on the proposed budget. We'll see if anybody dares to speak on that topic. We used to have a whole bunch, but now it doesn't seem like
There's your
anybody.
chance to vote.
Then we have the second reading for CIC 2201, Del Vecchio Capital. That's the Ag Pro property right behind Fratelli's. Anybody have any questions or anything to bring up in the work session tonight? Jason, I have one question. I can ask this in the council meeting.
No, ask now.
You know, we're taking away the condition, if it gets approved, we're taking off the condition for it to only be the service business or the whatever, equipment business.
Equipment.
Yeah, it's removing the condition that specifies that it can only be used
As that.
lawn equipment with outdoor storage only. So
So-
that's gonna go away, and then the zoning will control storage there.
Got it. But we still have a condition on there that any storage, we're not removing the next condition, was my question.
Yeah, it's still, on number 4, all outdoor storage shall be located to the rear of the building, and storage of equipment shall be screened with a 6-foot-high minimum fence. We're leaving that.
Yeah,
It's okay.
that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, if they're allowed to have storage.
Okay.
Based on the zoning, and there's only a few uses that allow it. So,
Okay,
can't be any worse than a bunch of tractors.
okay,
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
okay. Then we have the Manor Lake Development LLC. Any, issues or questions there for the work session?
You want me to just get a little rundown?
Sure.
Where we're kinda at by the end of the business day, I guess today. We did receive, a landscape plan middle of last week. I forwarded that, and then a color rendering came in today. We also had made a request, to have some changes to the roof. Those elevations were submitted, today, about before noon, about 10:30. I sent those out, and then there has become a discussion about, some improvements on the Gladstone Landing project that are actually on the property, as shown, for the proposed development. And, talked to the applicant a little bit about some ways to fix that, and, I'll just see what they have to say. But that's kind of the update as far as when we received, information, and then when I put it out to you guys. So what you had in your box today was the most recent elevations. The landscape plan also sent out on Friday those concerns from the neighboring neighbors, I guess, about their, that back lot line there. So we can allow the applicant to speak to that a little bit during their presentation.
Okay.
Any questions about any of that?
Okay, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable and I'm a little bit rushed with some of this. Are we really ready to assess everything that we've received in the last couple of days? I don't know what everybody is feeling.
Well, there's still some questions on the roof line, isn't there, as far as,
Yeah, I couldn't even tell what the difference, the changes were.
so I'm
Best
thinking,
case scenario, we just listen and get, I think, information and then make that assessment at the end if you want.
Okay,
That way you'll have the opportunity to directly question the applicant as far as any questions you have. And then, if you still feel uncomfortable at the end, then you could, pick it out in a couple weeks.
okay,
To the next one. But, the hearing will be, I think, good for clarity for everybody, at least know where we sit.
Yeah.
great.
and the public's probably,
Yeah, everybody's
Showing up.
gonna be here too, so it'll
Okay.
give them a chance to speak out.
Awesome.
So what happens if we go through the public hearing, public has a chance to speak, and then it winds up getting postponed? Will we have another
No,
public hearing?
once public hearing's done, it's done.
Okay,
Unless you choose, I mean, you could choose to reopen it, but I would advise against that.
so we would just postpone until the next meeting or whenever it got.
For the
Well,
vote,
the
yeah,
vote.
or you could just postpone it all and do it all next time if you feel like that's more beneficial, because
Right.
you don't get the benefit of, kinda ironing that out unless you wanna try to do that kinda outside of the public record.
So what happens is, you can either have a motion to table the matter before you get to the public hearing, and then it's all pushed down the road. Or you can take public comments, and then you just have the hearing. Now, that's what, like, for example, that's what's been happening to me in Sugar Hill. The public hearing's been closed for 2 months, but we keep adding stuff, and so, there's benefits both ways to do it. You can do it either way you wanna do it, but, like Jason said, if you have the public hearing now, the public's input is the public's input.
Right,
But they don't get to have input to the changes that are made,
okay.
so.
So y'all clear on that?
Yes.
So you can let me know what you choose to do once we get to that point.
Groovy.
Okay. Nothing under consent or old business. New business, we have the first reading on the adoption of the budget. And then we have the approval for the CDBG agreement.
Subrecipient agreement. It's one of those housekeeping matters you have to do to receive the funds. This is the $267,000 on the lake retaining wall and sidewall.
So we'll finally be able to get the
Yay.
Briscoe Park wall fixed. Okay, so that's it for the regular meeting. Any correspondence?
Oh, man.
City attorney's report?
I think we're good for tonight.
Ongoing projects.
Let's see, on the town center, several things have occurred. We closed on the Phase 2 property. Good news. The bad news is that's our last big check that's gonna come in. So we're still looking good budget-wise, though. Depending on, we're still waiting on the second floor changes and still waiting on the final arrangement with Thrive. But Chuck's made a lot of progress with them. I just sent Ramon an email. He's checking with his attorney. Hopefully in the next couple of days we get that document back. The hall plans are at 95%. There will be no more Jamal input. They've incorporated all of his input into those plans. So Roger said he would call me tomorrow and give me a likely bid date. Hodges and Hicks, repricing the Grove after what I call our second value engineering. We have taken some money out of the fountain. There was a fence that was not our responsibility, which Castos agreed to take out, saved us about $30,000. There was the biggest change. There was a seating area on the apartment side of the Grove plans. And there was and they call it a polygon leaf pavilion. Basically, it's a metal umbrella. And Michael Kidd thought it would cost $25,000 or $30,000. It cost $124,000. It got axed. And we can go in there and do what, if we want to do anything later. I mean, if you can we're gonna have regular umbrellas out there in front of the library in the seating area. We can do the same thing there for a lot less money. So, Hodges and Hicks is taking all that, repricing everything, and hopefully we'll get that number back and be ready to go. It looks like we'll be right at, or even below a little bit, the budget number that we were at initially. Let's see, under the comment section, extra info, The Clower buildings are in final permit phase with the county. They're looking at a June start. They've communicated with Jason, but the county needs to approve those plans, then they'll come to us. North Side info is going public now that that's closed. There'll be a news release out tomorrow. I don't know if you've had a chance to respond to your
I did.
quote or not, but, so that's no longer under wraps, and they want to get started as quickly as possible. The Clower closure, there, I put post Memorial Day, and it'll probably be next Tuesday. Matt just talked to Larry, and Omshiv they've submitted their plans for closing Clower. We haven't had a chance to review them yet, but Larry's reviewing it, we'll review it, and hopefully we can get those out Wednesday, or maybe even tomorrow, and there'll be a full week of notifying the public about what the traffic flow is gonna look there. But they finally got some information on when they could receive their concrete deliveries. Just kinda going down the list, sanitation, recycling, not a lot of change there, still a lot of options to discuss regarding the general fund subsidy. The $1 million subsidy is in this budget, and as far as this budget's concerned, there aren't hardly any changes. You'll notice everything is basically the same from when we had our small group meetings. Sidewalk improvement survey work is complete. Larry has started his concept plans. He'll probably bring those back to us in mid-June. I told him that we have a meeting June 13th and then not another meeting in June unless we have a called meeting. But, and he should have cost estimates prior to that. So we should know something on June 13th. Neighborhood beautification, basically the same report from a couple weeks ago. We do need that cleanup date for Oak Road. ARPA funds, still under discussion. The revised ARPA distribution is in this budget. There's, if things change, if the numbers that we get on the sidewalks change or anything that needs to change, you can always do a budget amendment. We will not have spent those other than the $300,000 transferred to the general fund. Briscoe Park progress, city team's working with the architect and engineer. We should have an update, I think Tuesday, Matt, from Croft, as to where we're looking at trying to cut down that large estimate they gave us. We had our opening pool party last week. Over 250 people came. It must have been really hot, nice weather last Friday, so that brought a lot of people out to the pool. The pool opens officially this Friday. Swimming lessons start, as well as the swim team will be out there on certain days. Zoning category review, still waiting on, any input that you've got on specific allowed uses, what we really need to, what you want to focus on, what we need to work on. Package sales referendum, we've got to set a calendar for getting to the election. I know you guys have the draft and are reviewing
Ready to
it.
go.
Maybe you talk to Chuck and Jay, but I just want to let you know we've got to keep that moving. Economic development activities, you don't really think about it, but the north side investment that they're making over there's a lot of legwork. I went back and looked at some. I had over 30 meetings and phone calls with Northside. Me, Matt, Larry Kaiser had to answer some questions. That's economic development. I mean, it's probably, if you remember, they were interested initially and they went away. And yes, Casto did the majority of the work bringing them back, but meeting with Charlie and the Northside engineers and the president of the hospital association, it was a successful process all the way along. and I think it will be good for the city long-term. But that's about all I have on that.
Okay. Any questions for Butch? Okay. Then we'll talk about the invocation scheduling. There were some emails that started with Solange about how the process was with Pastor Greer, so I thought it'd be
What I
best if
did,
we
yeah, let's just have a discussion.
Yeah.
What I did was question when I saw the May 4th email, that Pastor Greer was, already scheduled to find people to do the invocation for our city. So I questioned it because I didn't know anything about it. And let me answer your question, Dave. When your question in the email was, I'm not understanding why you're the only council member who didn't know. You know why? Because I've been excluded since last year. So when you guys are talking, I'm not there. Nobody tells me, hey, we had a conversation about this. No, you can't do that. You can't take it upon yourself, right? And go ahead and schedule things without including me. That's why I didn't know.
I mentioned it in passing.
No, yeah, listen, you mentioned it in passing with whom? Because
In here, on the way out.
No, I know I didn't hear anything.
Solange.
Okay? No, I'm addressing Dave for a second. If you just want to wait for a second. I know Barbara explained in the email that and I know I'm here, that we've had some problems finding people and so on. I get it, okay? I'm not against going and finding people. But my question is, you're going to go find people outside of the city. We have 20,000+ people inside the city limit. People pay the taxes.
And for
Why can't
10
we go?
years, nobody has come forward. This guy
Dave,
came forward
Dave,
and said, I'll do this for you if you want.
Dave, no, I disagree with that.
Well,
We have
disagree all you
10,000,
want.
exactly.
Disagree all
Because
you
you're
want.
making your decisions and it's okay.
I'm not making
What
the
you say
decision.
goes. Well, I don't know about it. So I'm gonna question it.
Okay, well, question.
There are over 20,000 people.
Okay.
And that's what I'm having an issue with, is why can we not find a few people among the 20,000 people that we have here?
Why do we need to?
Why do we need somebody from the outside schedule
Because
people
he
for here?
volunteered.
I don't care about the volunteer, Dave.
Well,
Go ahead, Bob, go ahead.
If I may, if you want to try to find a few people who would be willing to put that together.
Okay,
we're
then I'll
happy
do
to.
that. I
But
think, in my
That's been our
opinion.
issue. We
and-
had, as I explained in the email, Gretchen took on that project for a year, and she finally held up her hands and said, it's a lot of work.
I'm not, like I said, in the email I was very specific when I said I'm not necessarily questioning that is somebody from the outside. What I question is that why wasn't I included? Because I did not know. And I don't care if you sit here and say, I mentioned this, I mentioned that. I didn't hear it, and I wasn't around. Yeah, you want to talk, so go ahead.
It was, Pastor Greer was here at our January 24th
Correct, I know he was here to do the invocation,
And
correct?
the discussion took place between the work session and the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, was I included? No.
You did not attend that meeting, dear.
Okay, so it was convenient then to talk while I wasn't there. That's how I have to look at it.
I wasn't there either.
Well, I mean, but still, it's like, come on. Come on.
Barbara has asked a number of times for somebody to take that issue on, and none of us volunteered. So when somebody is here and says they'll do it in passing.
I still feel that we have 20,000 people in the city who can do this. I'll find them,
Okay.
okay, for the invocation.
Is everybody
So,
okay with
is
that?
everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Sure, I just want it handled, that
Yeah.
I'm not in the position of needing to handle another thing.
Okay.
And I'll tell
Okay,
Pastor
I'll just
Greer
do that.
his services are no longer required.
Right, and like you said, you will be ashamed to tell him that, because it's a shameful situation, right? I should be ashamed that I was excluded from this conversation. That's how
No
that goes.
Conversation.
I was
Have at it. Have at it. You
I
can
am.
take it over.
I am.
I'll tell him.
Okay. Just tell him. Okay, Bob, anything else that we can talk about?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Because I know you guys did a good job with finding people from churches, especially Gretchen from her church and so on. But I'm saying that it's much more out there.
Oh, there's a lot of people out there. It's
20,000
just a matter of making the
plus.
phone calls and the emails and the follow-ups to
I
make sure
see.
people get
And
here.
it's very difficult to do that during the school day. Just
I
saying.
can do it, yes, I can also do it after work. I can figure it out pretty steep.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
So let me understand, is somebody scheduled for the next, for 2 weeks from now? 2 weeks out?
I think Gretchen did have someone.
Let me see.
I don't know
if I've got
if-
a note. I try to note it on my calendar.
It was the gentleman from the church we did the ribbon cutting for. the pastor
Yeah.
For 2 weeks from now?
Well, she was trying to get it
Mhm.
on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know when it was for, but it was the ribbon cutting that we did.
I can't see in my notes here.
Gretchen got Pastor Jarrell Collins from Park Place Church.
That's for 2
For
weeks
the
from now?
June 13th meeting.
June 3rd,
For the
okay.
June, yes, and the children in the church's Trail Life program will lead the pledge that day.
Now I'm doing the invocation. Are you gonna look for people for pledge or it's up to
You're
you?
welcome to
Because
do
sometimes we
that
have
too. I
Boy
mean, that's
Scouts
easy
and
enough.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's easy enough if, so we'll run everything through you if we come up with somebody. Cause I know
Yeah,
there's
sure.
Reverend Joan Miller, she's retired and she's given
Mm-hmm.
the invocation several times. She'd be available whenever too. I can give you her email.
Okay, thank you.
She lives right there on like Maple or Plum Street, right there behind the high school.
Okay. Yeah, I just feel let's utilize what we have in the city first.
But I know she's available,
Okay.
too, and would probably be happy to fill in. Okay, item C, special purpose local option sales tax discussion.
In talking to Barbara and the GWMA folks, there is a county meeting coming up early in June, June 6th or 7th,
It's the 7th, I believe.
where the county is finally going to formally present their plan for moving forward on the SPLOST referendum. And then at the end of June or early July, there will be another meeting of all the cities where they will ask us to sign an agreement, where all the cities sign so they can move forward to the election. Between now and that time, we need to come up with an allocation of our funds. And we hadn't talked about it. And I was a little concerned that, we better start talking about it. And so, just to throw something out there to get you started thinking about it, that's why I sent out the potential allocation based on our projected receipts for the 2023 SPLOST. We believe, that if the county doesn't change their earlier plan, we believe it'll be for 6 years. And their estimate of our receipts, the city of Snellville, based on population of the cities, is about $28.5 million. And there are a lot of different categories we can use to place those funds. This is just something to get you guys started in looking at it, and we'll put it back on the agenda. We'll have a special meeting, whatever you want to do. But we need to start thinking, because this is what we'll have to do in that agreement at the end of June or early July. Transportation, of course, in our case, transportation means resurfacing. We will be out of SPLOST resurfacing money after this budget year. So I put $6 million, $1 million a year to keep resurfacing going. General obligation, I apologize for the misprint there, the spelling error. I wasn't in town when we did this. General obligation debt retirement, I just threw $10 million in there. Capital projects recreation, you've got a master plan calling for some type of a recreation center. I put $10 million in there. Capital projects, water and sewer, that is the remainder of the funds. I thought it was important to put some money in there because we've talked to GWR about what they're planning on doing on the Eastwood meadow area, upgrading a lot of water lines, maybe even, connecting to the connector, the new sewer that we've got. So I think it's important that over the next 6 years, you have some money to utilize when it comes to water and sewer improvements.
So
But
if we did more improvements in that area, would that be a shared expense
it would
with
be,
the county?
it would be, it'd be negotiated. This line was 75-25. We were the 25. They've talked about 50-50. So, it's just whatever we can negotiate with GWR. They already are putting in, water lines, upgrading water lines there. They've had a lot of, you can just drive down so many of those streets and see all the patches and repairs. So they've got plans to upgrade the water lines. We're working with Public Works to see some of those streets where they're doing the work, the line is in the street, and some of those streets have no base under them. They were just built on dirt. And, that's Mr. Mason.
That's every street, every residential street in Snellville.
So they would take what's called a full reclamation. And what they would do is just repair their cut. And then the outside or the outside those boundaries, it would just be, so we're trying to find some money to see we're trying to see how those roads are graded now on our 1 to 5 scale, to see if they're coming up in the next couple of years, so we can say, yeah, we'll put some money towards that. But I just wanted to get the discussion started because I know we'll have to do this for for that meeting at the end of June or July. We don't know. I guess on the June 6th meeting, we'll find out when the next one will be, when they want to have that big signing meeting. But this is just something for you guys to think about. And
The
go over.
resurfacing we've been doing, like the 600,000 or so a year that we've been doing for resurfacing,
About 850.
850, has all of that been coming out of SPOSS?
No, you get about 210,000 from LMIG, from the
Okay.
state.
So it's about 600 our money and 200 from currently.
And this year, I recommended we put 300 out of ARPA towards it.
But our 600,000 we've been putting in there has been coming out of
Yes, out of
SPOSS.
SPOS.
Okay.
14 and the 17.
And
the
they're
cost
almost all
of,
gone?
That'll be gone.
yeah, and the cost of asphalt's going through the roof
Yeah.
because it's petroleum based.
Yeah.
Okay? So y'all do,
So
put your thinking caps on for
what's
this.
the timeline exactly on this again that is
Is
there a
determined.
tentative meeting I have on my calendar June 7th?
You need to
tentative
hold,
meeting?
yes, hold that for
Yeah.
right now. That's still tentative.
Okay,
Haven't heard yay or nay on that meeting date.
and that's county level,
That would be a meeting we'd
With
have to go
us.
to the county,
yeah.
and I'd
And
need a
then-
quorum there.
And after that point, we need to have yet another meeting.
Yes,
To
there will
further
be another
discuss.
meeting where all the cities are asked to sign on to the SPOS.
Okay,
The way, the process that they present. And this is the, looking back at all the other agreements, every agreement I've ever been a part of, it has an allocation, categories of use for your funds. So you give the public some idea of what they're approving.
okay.
And part of that is for the vote, so that,
Right.
when everybody's voting on the city potentially getting this amount of money, that they know what projects we're planning on
Right.
using it for. Not just we're gonna get all of this money and
Spend it
spend it.
any way we want.
Well,
yes.
if you want them to approve it, you need to tell them what it's for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so we're looking at 2 meetings regarding this. in
Yeah, and that
June.
may,
Okay.
I don't know if that June 7th meeting will hold if they're saying now July with all the cities, so I'll talk with, Jack when I go into the office if he's there, cause he'll know.
It supposedly is in the county's legal review. so.
still. So, but I'll check with him and see if he's gotten any further
Okay.
updates and let y'all know so you can get your calendars updated. Because the main thing is, when we do have to go to the county for that vote, I do need a quorum there of at least 4, so. Okey doke.
Vacation plans on hold, okay.
Yeah. Alrighty, that is the end of the work session. We don't need an executive session, so is there a motion to adjourn the work
Motion
session?
to adjourn.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
So we weren't gonna do the budget, go over,
Anything on the
Oh, am I
budget?
missing something?
well, I mean, there's a
Gotta
pile of
hand out.
paper in front of us about a budget, so.
Yeah, that's what, like I
mean-
said, there's not a lot of,
Okay. Well,
Change in here
If that
from-
was all the discussion, that's cool.
Yeah,
But-
this
I'm
was
good
the
with that.
agenda item for the.
you also have the notes that I'll go over out here.
Yeah.
We've had no phone calls. I don't know if anybody's been by to pick it up.
Is it on the web page?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Can't force you to look at it.
so it's a, you know, it's our plan for the future, and, I just wonder if, it's hard to get people interested in
Numbers.
figures.
Unless you're saying, oh, you're gonna have a tax increase.
Yeah, that's the way you do it, is you say, we're gonna raise your millage rate.
Well,
Yeah, but we never get to tell them that before we adopt a budget.
well,
Exactly.
the,
But we do still
Thanks,
have,
County.
before we get to
3
final
meetings.
adoption, we all need to come to some kind of consensus or conclusion on whether we wanna try to do a trash fee to help mitigate some of that, subsidy the general fund's paying or not. And, you know, honestly, we could do that, I think, even after the budget is approved, but it would be amended budget and.
just realize it's going to take, I assume you would want the
Yeah,
bill on the
bill.
property tax bill.
Yeah,
And so we'd
Those
have to
will
be
go in.
part of that calendar.
yeah.
You know, when those bills go to be printed, the mayor and
It's a
council will have
software
had to.
programming step.
When's
It'll
that?
take a bit- It'll be a software programming step too, that may take a bit, so.
But they need to know when they.
What would be
have
the
to provide
timeline on
it.
that, Melissa? When would you need to know that?
I'm not 100% sure, but I would say at least 2 months, because you have to get on their schedule. It may not be the process itself is that long, but you've got to get on their schedule to get it done.
Got it.
If it's May now, June, you think the council would have 2 months to consider it? Provide the information?
Let me email Tyler. just
Okay,
to verify.
okay.
Mm.
Because if the bills will go out in, say, September this year instead of October.
And we probably need to make a decision.
Yeah.
by-
Yeah, so you
They
have to
went
be
out
done
in
by
September
July.
last year.
They went in October. They weren't due in December last year?
They were, but they went out in
Yeah, we-
September.
We still
Late
had them, gave them
September.
that extra month to pay,
Mhm.
Okay.
based on what I think Duluth did or something.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion and a vote to adjourn the work session. We're all good? Okay, we'll see you then. Got some time.